I love bartending. I think it's like a really great job. I think it's one of the few jobs in the world where you can like interact. If you're thinking of like Manhattan bars, for example, you could interact with like a crust punk from the 90s and like a Wall Street asshole and like a construction worker all within like a half hour. And there's not many things like that in this world.
That was Mike Irish, owner of Emmy Spaghetti Shack. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast about artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city unlike any other in the world. In this episode, we meet Mike, who took over Emmy's from the restaurant's founder, Emmy Kaplan, last summer. You might remember Emmy from Season 4, Episode 46 of this podcast. Now it's time to meet and get to know the owner of one of my favorite restaurants in the city. Here's Mike Irish.
Michael Irish.
Michael Irish, not a stage name.
That's a real name.
I mean, it could be both.
Yeah, well, it happens to be both, I suppose. But yeah, no, that's my real name, yeah. Well, I will say that just a quick thing about my name. There's a joke in my family that we came through Ellis Island, and he was just like so dumb. Like the Irish guy was so dumb and they couldn't understand what he was saying that they just wrote Irish.
It could have been one of those Irish
Hopefully
words or names without consonants.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just like,
we're just writing Irish on this one.
That's
yeah.
But
anyways, I was born in Texas.
Where in Texas?
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just driving through there.
I've never really been. I mean, like,
Don't go?
You know what I mean? Like, I was really young.
It's a huge city. There's some good shit, but it's anyway,
yeah.
not exactly.
Yeah, then we moved pretty quickly. My dad was in the restaurant business, actually. Catering trucks and stuff like that was his business. And he ran burgers shops and stuff all through the Midwest. And father of a preacher type of guy, like moved around and just kind of opened a business and then would leave it, I guess. I don't really know, to be honest. But
that's a conversation for you for later, right?
Yeah. But we ended up in Arizona, I know that. And so that was pretty much where I was raised. We did move to Colorado for, I think, a couple years also.
Okay.
And then I was in Houston for a couple years, so whatever.
Where in Arizona?
Phoenix area, like Tempe.
It's a big fucking area.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like, sprawl-wise. It's enormous.
It makes no sense, yeah.
Right. It's also in a desert.
Yeah.
The cacti are cool, though.
The cacti are cool, yeah. We used to have one in our backyard.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, don't climb that tree.
No, don't climb that one. And then I was raised there, so it's pretty normal.
Mostly there compared to these other places, the bulk of the time.
Like Denver, I can barely kind of remember, and Houston, I don't really remember at all. And I remember Arizona,
Yeah.
And it was a really nice place. Got two brothers, and it was a really nice place to be raised. Actually, the schools were like, they said that they weren't nice, but I found them to be very, very nice.
It's all you knew.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is cool.
Yeah. Now I have like a 9-year-old stepdaughter who's like takes yoga at school and stuff like that.
Well, like California.
A lot different.
Yeah. Different time, too. What? You don't have to exactly date yourself if you don't want to.
86. I was born in 86.
Born in 86. Yeah. So you were going to school in the 90s.
Yeah,
definitely. Mid-ish
early
90s.
mid, I guess, probably. Yeah,
okay.
Something like that. Mid 90s, I suppose. Yeah, I started going to high school around like 99 or something like that, like at the end of the millennium. I have a really bad memory for some of this stuff. I think this might be
this is going to be excellent.
Yeah.
Bring in the fact checkers.
Yeah. I can't remember a lot of things, really.
But you definitely were born.
I was, yeah. And I'm here.
Yeah. You'd mentioned Tempe and Mesa, I think it was the one you mentioned. Like, did you live in both? Or
like
around
we were like right on the, I guess you would call it, I think the border is like the highway. We were like right next to that.
Right.
And so I always just say Tempe Mesa because like Tempe is also kind of big, and that sounds like I was raised near ASU or something. I was
going to say that's where the school is, right?
Yeah, I live in a much more like you would maybe call it like southern part of, not like that.
Okay. Was it like
definitely suburbs?
Suburby, yeah.
Definitely suburby,
Right.
Like you don't walk anywhere.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, it's again enormous.
Yeah,
and there's
If you see someone walking, you like think they're the weirdest people.
Yeah.
I
know that. Like it's like that where I'm from too.
Where's that? Oh yeah,
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
Yeah, and I was just there too, and it's like.
It's hot.
What are you doing if you're walking?
Yeah, they think
some sketchy shit.
Yeah, you're up to something for sure. You're like running from someone or something.
Yep.
It was hot.
I was gonna say the obvious thing about Arizona is hot, ridiculously fucking hot.
So many things that I thought were just so normal, like like needing oven mitts to like get in my car in the summertime.
Oh, fuck.
Like they would it burns your hands off. You know?
Right. I never even thought about
Yeah,
that.
you got to bring a towel with you, put it on like the wheel, so because the old cars or whatever.
They're, I think, vinyl.
Yeah,
They used to be.
Vinyl
I do remember
over metal, basically.
Right. I remember hot steering wheels. I don't remember a car handle being too hot.
Yeah. Hot steering wheels is a funny memory though, and the keys, the key ignition was metal
thing.
and when you touch it, that was all of those things are true,
And that was just normal.
And like everyone has misters,
right?
Which is a really bizarre regional thing.
Yes, it is.
I thought for a long time, like, well, why don't they just have some misters out here? And my friend's like, what are you talking about?
What is a mister?
Yeah,
Mister what?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know of that part of the world. And Vegas too has
same idea.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
just
you can't drink the water and all this. Yeah.
Swimming pools though.
Yeah, everyone had
every
pools.
fucking where.
Yeah,
right?
every yard had a pool.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, didn't matter. Everyone had a pool. Yeah.
Right. It's not status. It's just necessity.
Just everyone had them. I mean, in the summertime, the pool would almost be too hot.
Right.
I remember I'd like play with my friends in the pool and get out and like have to hose myself down with cold water.
Bananas.
Because I was like overheating.
Bananas.
Yeah. And we used to jump fences and go from pool, see how many fences we can get through to go everyone's yard. Pool hopping is what they call it.
Yes.
Pool hop.
Do you remember what y'all's best?
Oh, my older brother's really fast. I could get through like 2 fences and like have to go out through someone's house. I wasn't strong enough. Like I was like, I can't jump another fence. You couldn't.
It was a physical activity.
Yeah.
What other kinds of things were you doing as a young? Let's say like before middle school.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things were you up
sports?
to?
I was always really into sports. Yeah.
Okay. You are a tall individual.
Yeah.
Was basketball one of them?
Basketball was my main one, but I played at that age. I was playing every sport. My mom and dad. Sometimes I think about how much energy they must have had because it was like me and 2 other boys, and we all played like 3 or 4 sports.
Right.
And I remember I have like memories of like getting in the back seat and like taking off my like baseball stuff to put on basketball stuff and just going from one game to the other.
Like a superhero, but a kid playing sports.
Yeah. And my dad was the coach of all these teams. It was a very, very involved family.
Right. Okay.
Then now, as someone who has a son now, I like drop him off at like daycare and I need to go take a nap.
You take care of him. Right. No, I think that's because I'm also one of 3 boys, and I often think my parents are still around, and I'm like, you guys did that.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And we were terrible.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah.
They gave us everything.
Yeah.
And we were anyway.
Must feel bad, right?
Well, I've come to terms with it. And,
no,
we're cool now.
Like, oh yeah, right. We're cool now. Yeah.
Everything's cool now. Or so
and
they
that wasn't
say.
the bad. I was a good kid I didn't get into like drugs or alcohol when I was younger at all.
Okay.
I
when
was
you
just
were
like
younger.
Sports and yeah.
Right.
I waited till I was older for that.
Yeah.
Did
Did you like any or all of the sports that you played? Like, were you like
I didn't like
into it?
soccer, Soccer's for kids, But I just offended several listeners. No, I'm kidding. I just wasn't ever good at it. I was really just into basketball. That was my thing. I was a huge Suns fan. I love Charles Barkley.
Yeah. Oh, from those days.
Yeah. I used to have his number shaved into my head.
Yes.
Super white trash.
What number was it?
34.
34. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah, we get a bowl cut and then shave his number in my head.
You okay? I mean, yes, you were into it, dude.
Yeah, 90s.
Did you play like for your school?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went on and played, but I got always in school, like middle school and stuff for sure. And then in high school, I think I played like the first 2 years, and then that was it.
Okay.
I got into like theater and drama club and stuff. I really took a weird, hard left turn. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
But also, I feel like at that age,
that's when those turns happen.
Right, you're forming and you're trying shit out.
Yeah.
So you acted.
I was really into writing, because I had learned how to play guitar, and I started writing songs, and so I wanted to be like a playwright when I was younger. I wrote a play for my school.
Oh shit!
And like got to like direct it.
I'm thinking of Jason Schwartzman. Rushmore.
Rushmore, yeah,
that whole thing.
Not that cool, but I wish, yeah. But that was like kind of my vibe. Me and my friends started making movies all the time.
Yeah.
Just
digital movie,
dumb stuff, just
digital cameras.
Yeah. And I would edit them. I got all into that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also when I met my first girlfriend, who's now my wife.
Oh shit.
Yeah. When I was 15.
That goes back a minute.
Yeah, and we didn't talk for 20 years, and now we're married.
Oh, shit.
How about that?
So you met her around 2001,
Yeah,
like.
2000, probably, something like that. Yep.
Something like that. Okay. Wow. Okay, we'll get to all that later, but I'm just thinking of, like, late 90s, early 2000s. Were you into video games or, like, what?
Yeah, Halo, right? When was that? Was that around then? That must have been around then. Yeah, like the very first Xbox or something like that. Yeah, that was my thing, for sure.
And then you mentioned music.
Yeah.
But you quickly said writing music for, like, plays and stuff. Did you play in bands or anything like that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was in a couple bands. Yeah, actually, I just was talking to my old bandmate yesterday for the first time in forever. Yeah, that was a big part of my life. It's really weird to go through your life, and most people that you meet don't know these things.
Right.
You know what I mean about you? Like, they don't think. For years, I was like a guy in a band.
Right.
You know.
What did? I was
guitar and sang.
Guitar and sing.
I was in like a folk band called the Pecan Sandies.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool band name. And that was
folk. So was it acoustic or?
Yeah. Well. It was just like folk instruments. We had like a banjo sometimes, or like harmonicas and stuff. We had all kinds of different instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit Renaissance.
Yeah, it was pre-folk boom.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I wasn't. It was unusual. Now I feel like there's. In like 2008 or 9, it became like a thing. A lot of bands were doing like that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
It was like weird. We were like on purpose being weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Did y'all like record, tour?
Yeah, we didn't really tour much. We recorded a couple records for sure. We played in like this Battle of the Bands, this like state sponsored, or not, maybe it was City of Tempe sponsored, whatever.
Okay.
And that actually, we advanced like super far. There was like hundreds of bands. We like advanced super far. Got second place.
Oh shit!
And like, we were on like the news,
right?
And stuff. Yeah, we were on like Good Morning Arizona and stuff like that.
No way.
I have the video. It's really funny. And then we played, and it was like at this huge festival with like Vertical Horizon and like the Gin Blossoms and some other bands like from that era. It was, and we were just really young kids, you know.
I was gonna ask how like around
that
what
must
age
have been. I was probably 16 years. I can remember like needing a car, finally getting a car so we could like stuff drums into it to get to like a show or whatever.
So this is like late 90s, early 2000s, and that kind of thing. Did you graduate from high school in Arizona? Or?
I did, yeah. That was in 04 or 05.
That's okay.
Yeah. Jeez, my memory.
It's okay.
05.
05 is when you graduated.
Yeah. And then I moved right away to New York.
To go to college. Mm-hmm. You're like, I'm out.
18 years old, yeah.
Did you go sight unseen? Had you been to New York? Like, what was the story
there? I had been there once when I was like 16. Just for like a weekend with my mom, I feel like. I can't remember, but I knew I liked it. And I got into like a film school that I was really kind of into.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was going to be what you did?
That was...
carrying that line from theater and making movies.
Yeah. And then talk about how people don't know me as certain things. Like a filmmaker is what I was until like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Like that's what how I introed myself, and I made films. Like, went all over the world with them.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I don't think it doesn't come up. You know.
Right.
It's one of these weird things.
It's pretty big, and it sounds like you probably. I'm getting ahead, but like, is that what you were doing before you moved out here?
Always.
Amazing.
Yeah. I lived in New York for like 17 or 18 years, just making films.
So you went to school, and it was very intentional that you're going to film school.
Yeah.
Did you have like a choice of film schools to go to around the country, or you're just like, that's the one?
I just applied to one. I only applied to one college. I didn't even know about it. I just knew that I could kind of maybe be able to afford it, and I knew that it was in Manhattan. Looking back, it's like I didn't prepare at all. I just applied to one school.
Right.
I had no other plan.
No fallbacks, yeah.
And they just accepted me. I'm sure they accept everyone. It wasn't like a hard school. It was like an art school, you know.
Right.
So it wasn't like NYU or something like that.
Right.
And so I went. I just up and left. I remember like my parents like brought me out there, and they were like, we were eating at like a diner near my dorm, and it was like kind of it was like a rough street, I think,
Sure.
or just like sort of run-down-ish kind of thing. Some homeless people were outside, and my dad was just like, "Are you sure you want to do this, man?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, I guess, but I had a great time. You know, obviously that's now I mean, it's tough. Like when people talk about where you're from, I find it really complicated because I think the old the old rule is like where you're born.
Right.
But that's not. I'm not from Texas, so that's definitely not it.
Right.
And then it's like, well, where have you lived the longest? Well, that answer would be New York. Mm-hmm. And then if it's like, where were those most like formidable years? I would say 21 to 29 are really formidable compared to 11 and 19. But those are both big years, right? So
sure.
So I do get it, you know. And I guess like I feel like I'm kind of from both, but I think that I carry myself and I connect with, like, when I think of home, I definitely am thinking of like New York.
Okay, interesting. And you said the school was in Manhattan. Did you live in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know people when you first moved there?
No, I knew this one guy who was in my band. Actually, he went to NYU.
Okay.
But I remember moving there thinking like, oh, thank God I've got this guy. And then I think we only saw each other like one time.
Exactly.
You know, it's like because we went so fast in our own directions. And
right.
He was in one of the first movies I made in New York, so more than one time, but not a lot, you know. And we weren't like, I wouldn't say like friends there,
right?
Really. Even though we were good friends in Arizona,
right?
And that's how it works, kind of.
Okay, yes, it is, because again, you're in a new place, you're gonna make new friends,
new types of friends,
different schools.
Different schools too, is a huge deal, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about going from making student films, and then you got out and you kept making, like, that's different world, right?
A lot different.
Funding is a big part of it, right?
Funding is a big part of it. Student films were all free, you know, like equipment and stuff like that. Yeah, funding's a part of it, but I like that. I liked hustling for free stuff. My student films were really bad too. I feel like sometimes if you pay for your own films, you make sure that they're going to be better. Student films, the whole point is to just try stuff and learn stuff and whatever.
Right. So
I don't even know. I'm sure I made like 10 student films, and I think I maybe only have 2 of them.
Okay.
You know,
just let them go.
Because that was also like era of like the physical media was changing, and like the way we stored stuff and hard drives and stuff was all so different. And like those hard drives don't even work anymore.
Right.
Like there's no way I could find an outlet for these types of hard drives. And so they're just kind of, I'm sure I have the hard drive somewhere. I don't know what they would do.
I'm thinking in my mind of the analogy of like no one knows their MySpace password.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's no
things
way.
that are just out there, but they're obsolete now.
Yeah,
it's
totally
just crazy.
obsolete.
Bananas.
Yeah.
So, but you graduated and you're like, I'm a fucking filmmaker.
Yeah, I was also bartending. I started bartending in college.
Do you want to name drop some New York bars?
Let's see. Hop Devil for all the old heads. That was like a beer bar on St. Mark's.
Oh yeah, nice.
Let's see. I worked at like 7A for a minute, also right there near St. Mark's. I would say I worked at probably 50 bars.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to pull them. But
did you live down there, East Village?
No, my dorm was over in Murray Hill, which is like the next neighborhood up. So that's where we were hanging out, was always East Village. So I know all those bars real well. Doc Holiday's, I worked there for a minute. That's on Avenue A, I think. But I was in the bar, you know, got into drinking eventually, and so I got into bartending, and I, you know, whatever.
And like you liked it? It was more than just like a way to...
I loved it. I still love bartending. I miss it even more and more now that I'm not doing it as much.
Right.
But I love bartending. I think it's like a really great job. I think it's one of the few jobs in the world where you can like interact. If you're thinking of like Manhattan bars, for example, you could interact with like a crust punk from the 90s and like a Wall Street asshole and like a construction worker all within like a half hour. There's not many things like that in this world.
Yep.
And you are liked by all of them immediately. Everyone likes the bartender, you know.
Everyone loves the bartender.
Yeah, it's a respected job.
Yep.
You know? It comes with power and stuff like that.
I was thinking about this the other day because my wife is a bartender, and also I'm a frequenter of bars. Just like, yes, you're working. Yes, it's a job, but it's social as fuck. There's a big social aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a social animal, so I think I would fucking love that.
Yeah, the social parts of it are really great, and those are things that you can't learn,
right?
Necessarily, like people want to be bartenders because they have a book at home and they can make in Manhattan or whatever. It's like that's like 5% of the job,
right?
You know what I mean? It's like, can you carry a room? Can you talk all night? Can you say the right thing? Can you never say the wrong thing? Can you get out of conversation with just four or 5 words? You know,
right?
It's very like cerebral in a lot of ways. Like when you know when they're good,
right?
You know,
and it's learning on your feet, literally.
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
And working on your feet too, which could be tough.
And working on your feet. Yeah, I'm like my wife started bartending in her 40s, and
that's tough.
Different than bartending in your 20s.
Gotta be.
Yeah,
and a big learning curve, I would guess.
It's beer and wine.
Okay,
So
that
it's
helps.
fairly chill.
Yeah, but still, like the etiquette of bars,
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot from like older people about like I always remember this one. I always like tell like new bartenders this example of like there was this guy who came into my bar and he drank like whatever, like a vodka on the rocks, and then he left and came back with his wife in like a half hour. I said, back for more, and my boss pulled me aside and said, what the fuck did you just say?
Yep.
Because it's like, what if his wife didn't know?
Yep.
What if he was, you know what I mean? Like you need to tighten up, dude.
Right.
And I was like, oh wow, you gotta be smart about what you say.
You
know?
have to think before you speak, which
Yeah.
I'm still fucking learning.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk any more about like so you said you're not really, I guess, proud of your student films, but like.
Oh, I love my feature films.
You made movies for a long
real
fucking
ones.
time.
In fact, when people watch them, sometimes they're like, "Oh, this is like a real movie." It's like, yeah, it's real.
Like with cameras and actors and shit.
I,
A script.
Did it? Yeah.
Did you write scripts? Speaking of,
yeah, I wrote all the scripts, I produced the films. I got the funding myself through bartending. I would do it for really cheap. I remember my first film, which did well. I won the Brooklyn Film Festival. It won several film festivals, and I went to Greece with it. I went to
nice
all over. It was in Europe. It was an amazing time of my life.
A big fucking deal.
Yeah, all over the country, really, and that was just for like $12,000,
Yeah.
And I would tell people that. I remember a producer told me, he was like, you should start lying,
Right,
because then
get more money.
everyone thinks that's what you're worth or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So I just started saying under $1 million when someone asked me how much it cost. Under $1 million. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's like true.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm just also thinking like you have an IMDb page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I will figure out a way to link to that. So we can.
Yeah,
check some shit out.
that one I sold. That movie I sold, and I made some money. I still get like random checks for it. Someone's watching it. I saw it on an airplane one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw some titles out?
Like a library. That movie is called Life of Significant Soil.
Okay.
It's sort of like a hipster Groundhog's Day.
All right.
If I may.
Sure.
You may.
There's a qualifier there, the hipster part. Yeah.
And then my second movie I made in like 2018. These take a long time.
Sure.
These like feature length ones take a long time. A lot of hustling, a lot of like locations and actors and moving. I couldn't afford that many things. I got a DP who helps me out, and then I got for my second feature I had an assistant director who helped me out a lot. But that's it. Just a crew of 3 or 4 max.
Yeah. Talk about indie.
Yeah.
Indie AF.
Hustling. Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy, man. But that one's really cool. That one actually premiered here in San Francisco.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That one's called Permanent Collection. I played at the Roxy.
Nice.
I was here for like a week.
I was gonna ask about the first time you came here. That's a part of
Yeah.
Any episode I do on transplants, like both of us, is not when you moved here. That's part of it, but like your first time here. And what did you think?
I thought this was a great city.
You liked it right away.
I loved it right away.
Do you remember what it was?
I was actually staying in this neighborhood.
Okay.
I was at an Airbnb, and I just thought it was so pretty and very like adjacent to the things I liked about New York. You could walk to things, bars everywhere, really good food, stuff to do, buzzy. I remember I was in this neighborhood. This neighborhood was packed. Packed.
When was this?
I walked by Emmy's. It was packed.
Yeah. Roughly when was this?
It was 2 weeks before COVID, 2020.
Oh, that was your first time to come to visit
I came here
San
once as a kid, and I did like it. I remember my earliest memory from San Francisco is definitely like on a cable car with my like mom and dad, and I noticed that someone went in to buy a slice of pizza, and I had never considered, being from the suburbs, that you can buy just by the slice.
Because you hadn't been to New York also.
Yes.
I like that you learned that here.
Yeah. And it's just like, whoa, you can just pop in and grab a slice.
Fucking heaven
just
on earth.
And like eat it as you're walking, Yeah.
And
that is something weird to think about, because in the suburbs, you're just getting, by the pie, obviously.
If you had a mall,
college town maybe or something,
or a college town,
a mall, Sbarro's,
might be, but it's different. It's different
it
in the
feels
city
different when it wasn't a mall, right? It was like a restaurant,
and that's what Sbarro's is based on,
right?
New York or San Francisco.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was, I guess, my first memory. But I've always liked it here because of that. It was so pretty,
and it wasn't hot as fuck.
The trip that I had here,
it wasn't hot as fuck.
It was gorgeous.
It's never hot as fuck here.
No, it's never hot. It's always so pretty here. The weather's incredible here.
Yeah, it's stupid.
My favorite.
I don't know how we deserve it, but
no, it just seems like we're so weirdly protected.
We're paying for it, I guess,
We are
with the
paying
high
for
cost of
it.
living here.
Yeah.
So. Okay, but then as an adult, you said your first
that
real
was in
trip
COVID,
here was
yeah.
right before
About
fucking
2 weeks.
COVID.
That was my movie. I was showing 2020 in February.
Okay, and that's not long ago.
No.
In the relative
No.
space span of your life.
No,
that's
it's not. In fact, when you consider how many things have happened to me since then, it's crazy how fast things go.
Yeah.
But anyways, my first girlfriend that I mentioned back from Arizona.
Who you met around 01 or so.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that sounds right. And then she was living here, which I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't have her number on my phone. It wasn't like we long lost lovers or anything like that. Yeah. But she did see that I had a movie showing at the Roxy for whatever, somehow, and she came to the movie.
Okay.
And I was like, Sarah, oh my God, I can't believe this is this is the girl I dated when I was whatever.
Yeah.
She took my virginity, man.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, then it's probably good, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
But that was like March of 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Late February. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
So.
In fact, I remember the guy who's interviewing me for the movie walked up and gave me elbows in lieu of a handshake. And he's like, oh, this new COVID thing
going around.
I was like, I've never even heard of that.
That was when you heard about it.
That was the first time I heard about it. Yeah.
I like to tell people, and this is true, that I knew it was going to be a big fucking deal when South by Southwest canceled.
Oh.
That was the indicator for me. Oh. Because, they plan those at least a year in advance. Yeah. So, but, holy shit. So you came out here for that premiere, you said?
Yeah.
Or was here. And then you went back, and then it shut down.
COVID hit, and my bar obviously closed.
And New York got hit hard.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I remember, right?
Yeah, it was it was wild.
Scary.
I mean, I will say it was one of these things where, just like everything, even like SF now, like if you watch the news in Arizona,
it's exaggerated.
They just make you look like it's the Holocaust here or something like that.
Right.
But it's like not.
Right.
And people live here. We live here. You know what I mean? Like everyone walks around all day and eats lunch, same as where you know what I mean, everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And so New York was like, I remember my mom being like, be careful, there's containers full of bodies and whatever. It's just like, it looks a lot like Brooklyn, just kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Is really the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like different perceptions, I think.
I remember, because I have a car, the first couple weeks when we needed to drive, it was like a dream.
Yeah.
Because there were no assholes on the road.
Yeah.
And the few cars there were like driving very carefully.
Right.
And I'm like, can we go back to that?
Yeah.
Anyhow. Okay, so you went back and we all were sheltering in place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You
said your bar got closed?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, everything got closed at first.
We were being paid really well.
Right.
Just to exist.
Right.
So we had all this extra kind of money, to be honest. I was getting $700 a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money. And so Sarah would fly to New York, and I'd fly here back and forth through this long distance.
So y'all didn't just re-meet; you connected.
Yeah.
You hooked up or whatever. Like, she's now your girlfriend.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said she would fly out, and you would fly out when y'all could. In those early days.
COVID. Sometimes you weren't able to fly, but other times you kind of were. And the planes were always empty. Everyone was talking about how unsafe it was. It's like, there's no one on the plane.
It's actually super safe.
Yeah, it's like the safest thing I've ever done.
Right. Yep.
And then I just decided to move here, basically at the end of COVID in New York, when it was still happening here. I just needed it more. I just needed it. I need to stay in masks a little longer.
Yeah.
It was
I love the mask
everyone
life.
just bailed on masks in New York, and everywhere was opening again. I was like, you know what? Let's go to San Francisco, put on my mask, and not have a job again.
Was it ever a question of her moving to New York?
She has a kid here, and who has a dad. Yeah,
that'll do it.
Yeah. So
okay.
No, it wasn't a question. It would have been. I mean, because she would have went out there probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Big fucking life change, though.
Huge. Yeah.
Did you have to think about it, or you're just like, nah, let's do it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember my friend told me, I was like, I think I might move to San Francisco for this girl. And he said something that I always kind of remember. He said, decisions made for love like that work out one way or the other. And I always like that advice.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Is an interesting way of putting that.
That was Mike Irish from Emmys. Check back next week for part 2 with Mike. That drops next Tuesday, wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Our contributing producer is Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 7th season, we have more than 250 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If possible, please rate and review the show. I want to know what you think. Follow us on Instagram and Threads @storiedsf, and reach us there or email us at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Be extra careful crossing the street, and keep being wacky, creative, and kind out there. See you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcast.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.